For invocation, just a few short words. Stay encouraged, stay motivated, be blessed and not stressed. Now let's recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is for all.
Thanks, Maurice. Appreciate that. Okay, so to kick off the club business, the hybrid meeting, and I'll send out this on a text to everybody since we're down a couple of people, but I to the Government Street Baptist pastor, and while we cannot do it at the church right now, he does have a building that's, I think, right down the street that we can hold a hybrid meeting at. So I'm going to be meeting up with him, I believe, this week to do a walkthrough of the facility. It will be of charge for us, and that's very nice. I really appreciate that. But I would like to make some kind of, if they don't want to accept our normal rent that we're used to paying or anything like that, maybe we can make a donation, to their church or anything like that. I really appreciate it being free, but I don't really want anything for free because they're really doing us a favor. I mean, they're providing the tables, everything there is for us, and it's free of charge. So anyway, that's something going forward that we can all talk about as a club. And I will keep everybody posted after the walkthrough, and we will see how this all works out. So with that said, next weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and Monday is Memorial Day. I personally do have plans that Monday, so I do want to take a vote on the meeting. I reached out to Olivia and asked her. Her vote was no. She's going to be out of town with family, I believe. And since, Monday is a holiday, all those in favor of having a meeting on Monday, Memorial Day, please raise your hand.
Okay. Raise it up all at one time now.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good consensus.
Discussion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, we're kind of at crunch time, so the more meeting time we have is better. But the thing is, it is Memorial Day. And I do believe that even if we do take Memorial Day off, we can still pull off meeting our club distinguished plan goals by the end of June if we work together with enthusiasm. That's what the speech is about tonight.
Thanks, Wes. I appreciate it. And I thought about that when, voting tonight on the meeting and it being, a holiday, Memorial Day, and wanting to respect everybody's time on top of that. And especially if, families coming in town. So I did think about that as well. And I appreciate your continued push, pushing us ahead to reach these goals. And I know David and Carrie have really done a lot lately too. And I appreciate the all the effort going into helping, us reach this. So, okay, as of now, there will be no meeting the following Monday, Memorial Day, but we will have our first hybrid meeting the Monday following that. Okay. And at that meeting, I do want to kind of talk about the club officer roles and where we're going, coming June 15th. So I will keep everybody posted with how the walkthrough goes. And I think that's it for my club business. Does anybody have anything they'd like to pass?
I'd like to say something real quick.
Sure, Donovan.
This past Saturday, my sister-in-law just gave birth to a daughter. So
Well,
I have my very first niece.
Well, congratulations, Donovan. That's great, and I appreciate you sharing with the club. Does anybody else have anything or any good news like Donovan just had to share with the club? Okay, nothing heard. And we will go ahead and kick this meeting off. It doesn't look like Majid is here, so I'll step in as Toastmaster right now. And I think we have already gone down the agenda to fill the role, so that's not needed. And we will just go ahead and continue on with how we normally do things. I know that we all know the roles tonight, but let's we'll just continue to go down and go ahead and introduce the roles. So first off, Donovan, if you could give us both the grammarian role and the table topics master role.
Okay. First, I'd like to go ahead and say that the table topics master's role is to either, I could do it 2 ways. I could either ask for volunteer and then ask you a question, or I'll ask the question and then ask for a volunteer. That is the only 2 ways that would be possible, or I could ask for volunteer, then ask the question. It depends on how I decide to go from there. My second role for tonight is the grammarian role. So the grammarian role is basically I would detect the word of the day for the meeting, which is forsooth. It means indeed, and it's also in the chat, by the way. And a sentence for forsooth is, forsooth, there was no one I trust more. Thank you. Back to you, Luke.
Thanks, Donovan. That was very thorough and I appreciate it. Let's see here. So next, our next double role for the evening is Carrie. And I have Carrie down as our all counter and our timer.
Good evening, everyone. I am your counter tonight. Our counter role is to note any overused words or filler sounds such as you know, like, and so forth. And another role of mine as a timer. As a timer, my role is to time your speeches. We have 2 prepared speeches tonight. David's speech is a little longer. He will see green. I believe his speech 8 to 10, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm confused. So David will see green at 8 or 9?
8.
Okay, 8. Yellow at 9 minutes and red at 10 minutes. And another previous speaker, West, will see green at 6, yellow at 6 and 30 seconds, and red at 7 minutes. Table topic speakers will see, I have to really find, okay, green at 1, yellow at 1 and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds, and red at 2. That we have 2 evaluators. The evaluators will see green at 2, yellow at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and red at 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. And I'm sorry, I was looking at the agenda. Did you go over the all counter role as well? She did? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I was focusing on the agenda, looking up, making sure we had everything. I was getting myself confused. All right. So the next we have is the general evaluator, which is myself. And I'll also be doing the evaluation on what's the speech. So the general evaluator's role is to evaluate the meeting as a whole and then call on his team, such as the timer, the grammarian, the all counter, to give their reports for the evening. And with that, I think the roles are filled. And without further ado, we will go ahead and introduce our first speaker for the evening. And our first speaker is David, and his speech title is Lead in Any Situation. Yes, a pandemic. And he'll be speaking from 8 to 10 minutes. And this is from his Dynamic Leadership number 5, Lead in Any Situation. David?
Good evening, everyone. Forsooth, leadership is challenging for me. Lead in any situation. This is my Toastmasters Pathways project, and it consists of 3 components. First, I was to take on a leadership role in an organization for at least 6 months. Secondly, I was to hand out this evaluation form to the members of that organization to fill out and return to me to grade me on how I did in my leadership role. And third, I was to give an 8 to 10 minute speech on my experience in the leadership role and also on the impact that these evaluations have had on me. Lead in any situation. The lead part for me is my role as Vice President of Education in the Hilltoppers Toastmasters Club. First, I want to recognize that Luke is our president, but all of the club officers have leadership roles of some form or fashion. And as Vice President of Education, it was my job to stand in as acting president when Luke was unavailable. That's the lead part. Lead in any situation. The situation, there's lots of things that have been going on, but the main situation is the pandemic. When I first started in Toastmasters, we were meeting in person. We were shaking each other's hands, hugging each other, patting ourselves on the back. And you know me, I loved doing that. I love that in-person presence. But the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden that went away. And instead of that, there was Zoom. What is Zoom? I had to ask that question. I didn't even know what Zoom was. So they said, oh, that's video conferencing. It's an easy to use video conference program. I thought, okay, well, that makes sense in a pandemic. We'll go to video conferencing. So that's the situation. And the dynamics are entirely different. They each have good advantages and disadvantages. So I am to reflect on my experience in this leadership role. First, I will give you the things that in Toastmasters scale of 1 to 5, things I would give myself a 3+ on. First would be running the meetings. In the times when Luke has been unavailable, I've stepped up and hosted the meetings. At first, that was a scary thing to do. I didn't know if I would be accepted. I didn't know if I would blank out and not think about what the right thing to do is. But I quickly adjusted to it and became comfortable. And towards the end, I actually got to where I enjoyed doing it. So I felt like I really grew in that role. The other things that I do is represent the club in other situations, like in district meetings and meetings with other clubs. That went very well. I also delegate things. For example, when I was hosting meetings, if there were roles to be filled because people weren't available, as Luke did tonight, I would find people to fill the roles and assign different jobs to people. One thing I learned to do is not take control, not take control. I found that as I became more and more comfortable in the role of leadership, there were times, especially when I was hosting a meeting, where I thought, oh, we should do this a little different or do this. And I wanted to just unmute myself and just blurt things out. But I remembered that as a leader, I need to let people do their thing. I need to let the members learn and grow on their own. And so I bit my tongue and held back. And honestly, a lot of the things that occurred were better than I would have done anyway. So I'm always learning. But I also learned to take control when I needed to. An example of that would be sometimes when the group is small, as it is tonight, we would have table topics. And by the end of the table topics, it's getting kind of short on time and only one person hasn't spoken yet. And I couldn't, I'm kind of like the Marines motto came to my mind, leave no man or woman behind. So I would suggest, hey, I haven't heard from Joe yet. We can do one more. And I'd rather do that, even if the meeting goes over a minute or two, because it keeps everyone involved. I remember when I was a kid, I was a scrawny little kid, not good at sports. And quite often I was one of the last people to be picked on a team. And I remembered how much, how that made me feel. And I don't want people to feel that way. So that's the things I felt like I was doing well with in my leadership role. The things I would give myself a 1 or a 2 on, and in Toastmasters evaluation scale, 1 means developing, 2 means emerging. That's Toastmasters' nice way of saying, yeah, I need to work on this. The biggest thing is just one-on-one contact with the members. My role as Vice President of Education, I should be encouraging people on their pathways. And I did give group talks and encourage people in that respect, but I didn't, when I saw people falling behind, I didn't call them or text them and say, hey, do you need help? Can I do something? That's something that is just reflecting on that, I could have done better. And the other thing is, I took in an earlier speech on my leadership style, I learned in Toastmasters, there's 8 different styles, if you can see them here. I did very well on the scores for democratic and innovative, but I did poorly on authoritative and bureaucratic. But I've learned as a leader here that it's important to incorporate all 8 styles at various times. So the things I was weak at, I'm still weak at, and I need to work on that. As far as the evaluations go, this thing is 6 pages long, and it's about 1.2 million questions. At least it felt like that when I was going through it. And I think, and this comes back to my low score on bureaucratic leadership, but this is bureaucracy. I think this is a bit long. It would have been better to me to have it shorter and just speak from the heart in essay terms about how they felt I did. But nonetheless, I appreciate the people that were able to complete this and return it to me, Luke and Carrie and Majid. And I was given very high scores and all of the things that were scored and very kind things said. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I just want to touch on a couple of things that stood out to me. First, on leadership, there was a question asked, what did the evaluator feel I could have done better in my leadership role? And everybody said I did very good, but Majid said if he had to pick one thing, it would be that to provide more of a personal touch. And I really related to that because I remembered a TED Talk that I watched by a researcher named Brene Brown. It's a talk on vulnerability. It's an excellent TED Talk. She's thoroughly entertaining. But part of leadership and part of life in general is we have to be willing to be vulnerable, to set ourselves out there on the table. And if I provided more of a personal touch, that would have opened myself up more to y'all. And that's something I was afraid to do. And so that was what really made me think. I'm glad that Majid said that. The other thing I want to talk about is the second part of this was on communication. And one of the questions is, am I open to constructive feedback? And I got high scores on that. But it really reminded me early in my Toastmasters pathway journey, I was giving a speech and it was required at the end of the speech for me to ask the audience questions. And Diego was our president at the time. He was nice enough to answer the question that I asked the audience. But the answer he gave, I thought was a little bit quirky. It wasn't quite what I was looking for. And I thought of something funny to say. So I just blurted it out. And it was funny. Everybody else laughed. But afterwards in the feedback section, Diego said that he felt hurt by it, and that it made him want to disengage from my speech. At first, my first reaction was, oh, Diego can't take a joke. But then I got to thinking, comedy is a tricky thing. And it's sometimes in my desire to be funny, I'll say things that are actually hurtful to other people. But more importantly, it made me realize how important it is for me to listen to what people have to say, to really take in that constructive feedback. And that has made a difference from then on. When people talk to me and give me feedback, I do listen and take it in. I don't always apply it. I'm a work in progress, but I really do listen. So thank you for that. In summary, I've learned I can lead, but I don't believe it's my natural role. I'm really better behind the scenes. I have improved during this time, but if I was doing one of these 360-degree evaluations on myself, I would have graded myself much harder. I would have been like Simon Cowell in America's Got Talent. Oh, I don't like this. You should have done this different. And maybe I'm just hard on myself, but I think also deep inside, I know I could do better. So it's gave me really things to think about, these evaluations. And I did read all of them, everything everyone said. Leadership, whatever I've done, is only possible by having a good team. I'm only as good as you, and you are good. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, David. I really enjoyed that speech. And just like I really enjoyed the last one, I find myself truly engaged and truly listening and enjoying what you're saying. So thanks. I really appreciate it. Moving on to our next speaker. And our next speaker, let me pull something up really fast. Sorry, I had sent this to the first evaluator before I took over, but our second speaker for the evening is Mr. West, and his speech this evening will be from Effective Coaching Path, Understanding Your Leadership Style, and it will be 5 to 7 minutes long, and his speech is entitled Achievement with Enthusiasm and a Never Give Up Attitude. Mr. West.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, according to questionnaires I've taken in Toastmasters, my best communication style is analytical, and my best leadership style is coaching and pace setting. I think these can work very well with respect to helping us achieve our goals as Hilltoppers Toastmasters. We have some challenges ahead. We have to meet certain educational goals and membership goals. David is doing a wonderful job on keeping us on track with our club statistics. But we have to keep continuing to give us speeches and pathway speeches. But our most, and David has done a wonderful job in helping us to get more comfortable with pathways with his YouTube videos. But our most challenging aspect in this Distinguished Club program to get our club to distinguished status is with respect to membership growth. Now, there are several ways that we can do that. I belonged to a martial arts organization many, many years ago in Mobile, and I'm going to visit that. I'm going to personally visit that organization again. I will invite possibly some folks come along. We can practice in interpersonal leadership, communication and leadership skills by talking with these people. It's not only martial arts, there are people there that are from all walks of life, and I'm sure they'd be interested in what we have as Toastmasters. Now we can put together a flyer team and distribute flyers to other organizations. There's also Zoom, of course, but what I would recommend is having an actual theme at one of our early one of our early hybrid meetings to have an actual party, a open house to celebrate our 60th year as Hilltoppers. February 1st of this year was our 60th year as Toastmasters. 60 years. Well, the point I'm trying to make here, the main point, takeaway, is that we can accomplish, if we work together as a team with focus and enthusiasm, we can accomplish these goals. And it's not that difficult. Enthusiasm is derived from the Greek, enthos, which means literally in God. So it's an inspirational type of thing. And never give up. I'll give you 3 stories in which I succeeded by never giving up even to the last minute. Remember, many years ago, my family was visiting relatives in Los Angeles. We took our little dog with us, a little Cocker Spaniel, I think Beagle mix, beautiful little dog. And that little dog got loose out of the backyard and got lost in Los Angeles. What are the chances of finding a dog in Los Angeles? Well, what I did is I mapped out a little grid, and I statistically went by grid, and I spent 6 hours looking for that little dog, tirelessly looking for that little dog. And I thought, well, I'll go back, I'll try one more time. It was just looking very bleak. I'll try one more time. I'll go back and look to where she was last seen. I'm moving along the streets, and I see this little black shadow running across the road. It was Poochie. So I picked her up. She's kind of scared. I picked her up and took her back to her relatives. But the point I'm trying to make is I didn't give up. I spent 6 hours and I succeeded in finding little Poochie. Another moment I have, I think David would appreciate this. I was having a little problem with a certain math concept. And this was bugging me throughout the entire course. And on the math final exam, I'm looking at this, and all of a sudden, it came to me. It wasn't until actually figuring it out. It just came to me what they were trying to tell me. So I applied that, got a good grade in the course, good grade on the test. It wasn't exactly a Ramanujan moment, but it happened. It actually happened. Right at I got success at the very last minute, and it worked. Another time, I was aboard ship, and I had put in for several months, but it was cut short because there was some mix-up in paperwork. The senior scientist says, "Well, I think you'll be going home." But I didn't buy into that. I was in Bermuda, so I went from the ship to a building where we all gathered for recreation. Found a payphone and called the office, Naval Oceanograph office, collect from Bermuda. Got a hold of the scheduler. We talked for a while. And he finally agreed that, yes, you did put in for this, and we'll make it right. So I was able to stay aboard ship for a month or 2 longer. But if I hadn't made that effort, it wouldn't have happened. So sometimes you have to make the effort with enthusiasm and focus right to the last to get success. It does work. I know it works because I've lived it and I've experienced it. So fellow Toastmasters, if we work together with enthusiasm and focus, we can accomplish. I know that we can accomplish our distinguished club goals, both in terms of education and membership, if we work together with enthusiasm. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Wes. I appreciate your speech, and it's always good to get some motivation, especially after a long, tough year of, the pandemic and switching things up on Zoom and kind of going through some struggles and everything. So I really appreciated your speech. Next on our agenda, we have our table topics master, and that's none other than D-Man himself. Can you please take us through some table topics?
Yes, of course. First, I would like to go ahead and ask for a volunteer. Luke, your question would be, is what would you pack for a springtime picnic?
All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So I have been asked what I would pack for a springtime picnic. I think the first thing that comes to mind, because I'm underway on a boat a lot, and a lot of times we are out boarding other vessels or working out in the sun, and I'm constantly rolling my sleeves down, even though in the Coast Guard right now it is sleeves up. I'm not mandatory. Well, pretty much mandatory. It's sleeves up, but I still pull them down because if I don't have sunscreen, I just worry about being out for hours and hours and hours. So, with my arms in the sun, just like I was on Saturday, I was actually working this Saturday. So the first thing I pack would be sunscreen. Second, I would probably pack some kind of bug spray, because while bugs don't love me, they love Savannah, and it would make our picnic a lot more enjoyable if she had some bug spray. So that would be the second item. Third item, I would definitely pack water, because I can't go anywhere without water, especially once again, especially with Savannah. She has to have her water, and I'm in full agreement with that. And so after that, I would just go with some really good food. I would have something healthy. I would have maybe some lean meats, some fruits and vegetables, and I would just have a nice, comfortable place to sit, and hopefully, be safe from the sun, bugs, and be able to enjoy our food. So with that, I'll turn it back over to our table topics master.
Thank you, Luke. That was kind of peaceful of just listening to it. Who would like to volunteer next? Okay, Wes, your question is, what is your favorite spring color? Why?
Unmute yourself, Wes.
As one of our illustrious presidents said, remember Babylon, gentlemen, Babylon and on. Okay. For springtime, my favorite color would be green. I've always liked green as a color, and green to me brings up a certain vibrance, a certain happiness, a certain quality of exuberance that one feels inside when one thinks of spring and springtime activities. The green countryside. I remember in childhood, I had this, it was so strange. I had this dream where I was standing on a hillside, and I had the impression of a building to my left, and I was overlooking rolling green hills. And that stayed with me for a while. It was so strange because I found myself in Athens, Greece, many, many years later at the Parthenon, and And to my, I just wandered off by myself and looked over to the countryside. The Parthenon is on top of a high plateau. To my left, there's the Temple of Athena, and I saw this landscape, and I mentally blotted out the little white houses that were in the distance, and I saw these rolling green hills. Well, chalk it up to coincidence, but from my earliest childhood, I associated green with happiness, vitality, and enjoyment. So my favorite springtime color is green. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Russ. That was really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Carrie the next question since she raised her hand. Carrie, your question is, what kind of flowers would you get for the spring? Why?
Could you repeat one more time, please?
What kind of flowers would you get for the spring? Why?
What kind of flower?
What kind of flowers?
Flowers. Got it. Let me set timer by myself. Good evening, Toastmaster and the members. What kind of flowers I would like in the spring? That was a beautiful question. My favorite flower is, I have one, but I'm sorry, I cannot say in English, but let me describe it. It's basically yellow, outside yellow, inside the flower. So it's kind of two double layers. And why do I like it? Because that's the most childish memorial flower with my mother. Sometimes we walk together with my mom and I looked at the flower. It somehow it really eye-catchy. And she described it as double layers. And I like the double layers. And then we feel like a something happiness, double happiness, not just a single, double happiness, too happy. That's why I really like it. Not just one, too happy. Now, another reason is, of course, as a memorable flower with my mother. My mother working full-time Monday through Saturday. In fact, when I was a child, working Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday, quite normal. Even when I was a child, I went to school Monday to Saturday. Only Sunday, the day off. My mom was very busy. And so we walked together sometimes, or my mom bicycled me in the back. And I saw the flower in the spring. That's a memorable flower. I'm sorry, I don't know how to call it in English, but that's my favorite flower. I sometimes see it in the neighborhood, so it's quite common. Just I don't know how to in English. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Who would like to be the next volunteer?
Okay, I'll
Okay.
take a stab at it.
All right, Luis, your question is, what is your favorite spring baked item and why?
My favorite spring baked item.
Why?
Now, let me ask, I'll ask myself, I'm not going to ask the audience, I'll ask myself, is there a specific spring food? Well, I'll try to answer the question the best I can. My favorite spring baked item. I'll just go ahead for the sake of time. I'll just say oatmeal raisin cookies because they're fresh and the smell really comes out during the spring as opposed to the winter. And it's just a nice change when you, I guess after lunch or after dinner, when I sink my teeth into that cookie and feel the warmth of it, especially when it's fresh baked. So my favorite spring baked item would be oatmeal raisin cookies. Back to you, Topics Master.
Thank you. I know that we're running close on time, but I don't want to be rude. So I'm gonna ask one more question, but this is to David, since he did not answer a question yet. Your question is, what kind of drink would you make for spring? Why?
Thank you, Donovan. The question is, what kind of drink would I make for spring and why? Well, I don't drink alcoholic beverages, so that eliminates quite a few. Right now, I mostly just drink water and coffee. I'm pretty boring when it comes to drinking, but if I had to make a nice drink for spring, I think I would make a nice lavender chamomile tea, because I do drink tea also on occasion, and that's a very soothing and relaxing tea for me. Spring is just such a beautiful time of the year, as Wes talked about with his favorite color being green. I love seeing everything turn green. So maybe a nice green tea would be a good as well. I'm not sure if I could accomplish both, but if I had to pick one, I think I would go with green tea. Thank you, and back to you, Donovan.
Thank you, David. For the sake of time, I'm gonna go ahead and relinquish the lectern back to the table, back to the Toastmaster for the evening. Whoever is the, I'm gonna release the lectern back to the I'm sorry, the
You had it right, Donna. Tonight, I'm stepping in for Majid. You had it right at the beginning there, man.
That's nice.
All right, thanks, Donovan. Your table topics are always very relevant, especially since we are in spring going into summer, and it's about to get extremely more hot and humid. So with that, we will begin our evaluation portion, and I am the general evaluator for the night. So before I give my evaluation of the meeting as a whole, I am going to call on our evaluation team. And our first person in our evaluation team tonight is going to be Maurice, and he's going to be evaluating David's speech. Maurice.
All right, thank you, General Evaluator. I will forsooth evaluate David's speech entitled Lead in Any Situation. Yes, a pandemic is a situation. And I assume that this is your level 5 high performance leadership task. And of course, his high performance leadership is on his position for the year, his current position of the year as Vice President of Education, or VPE. General comments: he excelled at expressing the highlights of his leadership journey, which includes the pandemic situation. This is the first year of Toastmasters during the pandemic situation. You may want to work on vocal variety a little more, and then to challenge yourself, just keep on practicing your leadership skills and improving on your leadership skills and implementing those leadership skills in real life situations. Now for the evaluation form. Clarity: the speaker's voice was clear and well understood. Vocal variety: in this case, the speaker's speed, tone, and volume was constant throughout the speech. Eye contact: he kept his eye on the camera for most of the speech. Gestures: the speaker used effective and sufficient amount of gestures. Audience awareness: I assume that he was aware of how the audience was responding to the speech. Comfort level, the speaker was very comfortable during the speech. Interest, the audience, in my opinion, was interested in the content of his speech and paid attention during the speech. And then the topic, reflecting on the impact of receiving the 360-degree evaluation. The speaker did highlight a few points from the 360-degree evaluation and apparently learned quite a bit from the 360-degree evaluations. So with that, I will relinquish the lectern back to the junior evaluator.
Thank you, Maurice.
Maurice, I appreciate the evaluation. Next, I will go ahead and call on myself as evaluator number 2, and I evaluated Wes's speech. So Wes spoke tonight on keeping motivation up, especially during the pandemic times and everything, so we can meet our club distinguished goals in a short time frame, which we relatively have with the end of June coming soon. So going down the evaluation sheet, the general comments, Wes, you excelled at. I put motivating and detailed. So, ever since you've joined the club, you've been very motivating and motivated and detailed with, the things we need to do, the things you want to do, some of the things that you're having ideas on, such as the flyers, you're going to speak with the, martial arts class, and really trying to, push some of these things so that we are able to meet our club goals. Another thing you excelled at, I put standing up. So I've noticed you always stand up for your speeches and different things like that. And that's something that I have not done myself. I know Donovan has stood up before, and I think that is a really good thing to do. And it does help kind of elevate the speech a little bit. And I know David has also, I believe, stood up. I think numerous people have. I know Crystal, when she visits, Crystal Lockett, she does. Hand gestures. I know that I did see your hands moving. I think they're moving a little bit more at the bottom of the screen that you couldn't see, but I saw your hands coming up. And so I thought you excelled at hand gestures. I really liked how you gave specific instances of not giving up. So not only are you telling us not to give up, you're saying, this is why I don't want to give up, because in the past I've been through this. This is, the outcome of not giving up, in which the last thing I put down you excelled at was finding Hoochie, because as a dog lover myself with 2 small Pekingese, and I treat them like kids, I don't know what I would do if I lost one of my dogs. And so, yeah, I think I just, excelling and not giving up, let you find Hoochie, and I'm sure she's a really big part of the family. So that's huge. So the next you might want to work on, I put voice inflection, because at the beginning it was a little monotone, but right after I wrote it down, you started to use more voice inflection. And so I'm still going to leave it as, to work on, but yeah, you really kind of picked it up right after I wrote it down. So it's kind of a mute point, but I think it just kind of started slow with the voice inflection. And I put for challenge yourself, and this is hard to do because I know you're confined to a screen, but you do such a good job at standing up and doing hand gestures. I want to challenge you to maybe move a little bit, maybe walk back and forth a little bit, maybe, try to figure out where you're at on the screen. And I think you already perfecting standing up and doing hand gestures, maybe moving a little bit might, make the speech even a little bit more captivating. But once again, I don't know how that's going to look, because I know we're confined to a small screen on the computer. So going down the evaluation form, so clarity, I put 5. I don't know if I've ever heard you or Maurice use a filler word in my life. Actually, for David, for that instance too. I love how you guys don't use filler words because I use them all the time. Vocal variety, I put down a 4. We kind of talked about the voice inflection, eye contact. You looked right at the screen the whole time, so I put a 5. Audience awareness, I put a 5. Comfort level, you seem very comfortable from the moment you came into the club, even not knowing anybody. You were very comfortable. I put a 5. Interest, also put a 5 because it is very interesting to me, and I think to everybody, the details involved on how we can possibly get the distinguished club status that you're sharing with us. And that goes along with topic as well. I feel it's very relevant. Give you a 5. And that's my evaluation. So good job, Wes, and I appreciate you giving a speech tonight. Okay, with that, I will go back to the agenda and I will go ahead and start calling on our evaluation team. And so, Donovan, could you please give us the grammarians report?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and honored guests and members of this meeting. My role was to keep track of the word of the day. So the word of the day tonight was forsooth, which means indeed. I have picked out throughout the meeting that David did say the word of the day once, and Maurice said it once as well. And I also said it a couple times since I am the grammarian as well. That is my report for the evening, and I'd like to go ahead and relinquish the lectern back to the general evaluator. Thank you.
Thanks, Donovan. And next on the evaluation team, I would like to get Carrie. And Carrie, could we get both our all counter report and our timers report, please?
Hello again. Let me start with a counter. Davy, your prepared speech, I heard 3 times. Your table topic, I didn't hear anything. Wes, your prepared speech, I heard 3 times. And your table topic, 1 time, once. Luke, in your table topic, I heard twice. And your evaluation, 10 times. Myself, Carrie, I heard myself twice, at least. Maurice, I didn't hear anything in table topic and evaluation. Next, timer. David, your prepared speech, 10 minutes and 50 seconds. And your table topic, 50 seconds. Wes, your prepared speech, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm sorry, 57 seconds. And your table topic, 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Luke, your table topic, 1 minute and 45 seconds. And your evaluation, 4 minutes and 47 seconds. 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Myself, table topic, 1 minute and 46 seconds. Maurice, your table topic, 50 seconds. And your evaluation, 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. And I think with that, we are done with the evaluation portion. So I'll give my overview of the meeting. We started, I believe, right on time. Actually, no, we took a recess at 6:46. And then we started right about 6:47. I kind of started going into the club business, hopefully, because I knew we had a full agenda tonight. So I wanted to try to pass things waiting on Majid. So we started about, 2 minutes after the, 6:45. And I thought the meeting went well as a whole. We did have, numerous things to pass as club business. And then with having 3 people down tonight with the agenda, I just really appreciate everybody stepping up. And, some of us had, 3 different roles, and a couple other people had 2 different roles. And so it's always good and actually challenges us to maybe do, a couple more roles than just, one a night. So anyway, I appreciate everybody stepping up, and I thought the meeting went well as a whole. So moving on, I know we're about 1 minute over right now. We're almost done, but there's no education overview tonight. I urge everybody to, please look at the email and the videos that David has put together. They're I just think it's a great thing, and he spent time putting those together. So please look at that email and check out those videos. So awards, we do have 3 awards tonight, and I did have these printed out at work, and I walked off and I left them. So I have them on my phone and I hope people can see them. But the first award tonight is for Carrie, and that's for achieving her level 3 of effective coaching. And of course, it's not popping up, but she did get her level 3 for effective coaching. So let's give her a round of applause. Next, we also have David Roberts, who got his level 3 of dynamic leadership. So let's give a round of applause to David. And one more for David. We got, he achieved his level 4 of dynamic leadership. So great job, David and Carrie. And I'm sorry I didn't have those certificates to hold up. I just walked off from work and left them on my desk, and I apologize about that. Okay, and with that, we're a little bit closer to the distinguished club status. And I guess in closing, Wes, I appreciate the speech tonight and the continued motivation. David, I always enjoy your speeches, and I like how you put a personal touch in all your speeches. That's one thing that stands out to me, and I really enjoy them. And thank you a lot for Wes, David, Carrie, and everybody who's really just been putting out to reach these goals, but especially to David and Carrie and Wes. I've really seen a lot, and I appreciate the effort, and I know it'll make a difference going forward. And for the hybrid meeting, so since we're not meeting next week, I will still get with the pastor this week, and we'll get a walkthrough going. And the following Monday after Memorial Day will be our first hybrid meeting. So I'll send out a group text, see who's coming, but that's something Wes did mention about having guests at this first hybrid meeting. I was hesitant and really just kind of want it to be us, solely because I want to work out any kinks. And when I want guests to join and see us, I want them to see a fluent, put together meeting, because I want them to come back. And if they showed up and we're having technical difficulties, then, it's something that it just would bother me, because I want it to be, put together. And I, Wes agreed with me, and I appreciated Wes's enthusiasm getting people there now, because I want people there now. But let's just do this first meeting, us, and then we'll get out there and we'll get an open house or some guests coming in, and that way we're looking good, when people come in and join us. Does anybody have any club business to pass? I know we're 4 minutes over. Donovan?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Even though that y'all are doing hybrid meetings, how is the Zoom thing gonna work?
I think it's going to work about the same, Donovan. We're going to have a computer up there to where, and Maurice can kind of walk us through this a little bit more when we get there, but we'll have a computer where maybe even projected on a screen or something like that, where we can see people's faces, and we'll kind of have it projected on the lectern. So really that computer will just kind of face the lectern, and whoever's coming up and back from the lectern will be seen on the screen. That might not be the best way to do it, but when we get there, we can have Maurice or Wes or some of these guys that have done the hybrid meetings before walk us through.
That's what I make sure, so I can at least contribute, since I'm not allowed to go.
Sure, absolutely. And we'll continue the hybrid meetings for as long as we need to. You know, I think Zoom offers a good opportunity for, especially for people like me in Ocean Springs, Mississippi now, you know, coming all the way to Mobile. And, you know, there's a club literally 4 minutes from my house at the yacht club. I found out from Wes. And so I just really enjoy Hilltoppers. It's where I started Toastmasters. And so it's got a little special place with me. But having the Zoom meetings would allow me to come more often, especially with a hectic work schedule. Anybody else? I think Wes, you had your hand raised.
Yes, I really am not familiar at all with the ins and outs of hybrid meetings. I'm really not participating in that, but I do fully intend to have a level 3 speech prepared for our next meeting after Memorial Day.
Okay. Thank you, Wes. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't know I know you're heavily experienced in Toastmasters. I didn't know if maybe in some of your club visits or anything you've experienced it. I know Maurice has, and I spoke to Crystal Lockett too, and we're going to kind of get together, and she's going to give me some tips and tricks.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's one thing we may need to look at, because I'm not sure how committed I will be to attending hybrid meetings on a regular basis either. So will we have enough people to even, you know, to be there, regular members is something we need to look at, because we'll have to have people committed to coming. And right now I'm not actually committed to doing that myself, but
I intend to be there for the startup. I intend to be there for a party.
right. Well, I mean, I could come occasionally as well. So, but we need people that are going to be guaranteed to be there pretty much every time. So,
Yeah, and to, you know, David, I agree with that, and hopefully, you know, we can get a group of people so everyone's kind of trained on the setup, and maybe I can talk to the pastor about leaving like a little box of our stuff there, just like we did at Carpe Diem. So whoever came understands the setup and can put it up, because I know not everybody's going to make every meeting. It's just not possible. Wes?
At our at our party, I will volunteer to be snack master. I will provide soft drinks, water, and snacks.
All right. I like that. I like that. Snack master. That's what I call Savannah, snack master. I'm going to tell her I said that too. I'll probably be in trouble.
All right.
Guys, does anybody have anything else to pass?
I like Carrie's shirt. I saw his T-shirt, and it was a quotation also given by a minister. It's meditation. It's not what you think.
That was a good play on words there. All right, guys. So with a good ending quote like that from Wes, I hope everybody has a good, safe week. Enjoy your holiday and your long weekend on Memorial Day. You guys stay safe. And if you go out red snapper fishing, I might see you, because I got put on a boarding team working Friday and Saturday. Go out and see and get on some of these boats. So if I see you, it'll be cool to actually see you guys out and about. But
That's no.
anyway, you guys stay safe, and I will see everybody 2 Mondays from now.